What a year this has been. So many road trips, hidden spots, and unforgettable moments. Today I'm taking you through every single adventure of this year. Some were planned, most of them were spontaneous, but all of them were incredibly unforgettable. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's rewind the year together. I technically did this trip at the end of last year, but you guys saw it at the beginning of this year. I went up endless hills and winding roads and through Katunga Forest before I went down to chill by the rocks at Mwea River. That place is amazing. So after that, I went up Kimakimo Hill. The turns and every step up that hill was amazing. The views were worth every step of the adventure. Yes, Aberdares. The Aberdares is a waterfall heaven. So if you are a fan of waterfalls, if you like just viewing waterfalls, swimming by the waterfalls, you can find so many waterfalls around, up and around the Aberdares. In this trip, we went up the Aberdares just to visit the waterfalls that are up there. That is Gura Falls, Karuru Falls, Magura Falls, and Chania Falls. These are amazing falls that offer a really spectacular view. So yeah, if you ever get time to just go through the Aberdares, visit those falls, that will be worth your time. Also, driving through the bamboo forest and down towards Nyeri was amazing. Kwenia, hiking, quad biking, camping under the stars, amazing. And yes, I did get helplessly lost on my way there, but once I got there, it was all worth it. The sunset, the sunrise is always amazing. Um, yeah, so we still have one more thing to do in Kenya, and that is the shooting range. I have not done that yet. Lake Ellis, straight from Kwenia, we went up the slopes of Mount Kenya to Lake Ellis, where we spent the day chilling and just relaxing by the shores of Lake Ellis. It was amazing. Although we did not get to see the peaks of Mount Kenya, the calm waters of Lake Ellis and the fresh air up in the mountains made it all worth it. Simple, but so refreshing. Taptengele. Yeah, this was a wild one. This was one of those like let's just go and see where we end up trips. I woke up and just dropped up in somewhere in Taptengele and just went. I did not really know what to expect. The winding roads, the views from Taptengele, just the escarpments, going up the escarpments with the winding roads. It was crazy. I did go up a very sketchy road at some point, and yeah, that was one crazy experience. So yeah, I went up the sketchy escarpments, saw the views down to Kisumu County. I went through the tea plantations in Nandi Hills. Yeah, that place is serene, smells really nice. Yeah, the views were all worth it. The Nguruman Escarpment. So this was one of the most rugged trips I've been to. I joined a group of fellow adventurers and we went down through Magadi and up the Nguruman Escarpment. Yeah, that slope was tough. Um, we didn't really know what to expect. We were following, we were going with a local guide, and and he showed us like a way through. Most of the roads there are practically non-existent. We drove along a river valley, and the view in that river valley is something you can't really explain. Even the videos like that I show don't quite capture what we saw. It was amazing. We exited to Narosura before we headed back home through Narok. That trip was amazing. Later on, I did a solo trip to Kilimambogo. Yeah, so the 14 falls in Kilimambogo are just side to side. So the river just flows right past Kilimambogo and down to 14 falls. So yeah, I crossed over 14 falls by foot. That was pretty sketchy and scary. I don't know why I did that. And onto the other side, I got some spectacular views. I did a boat ride across when my way back. And then after that, I drove up Kilimambogo for some amazing, relaxing drive. And the views are amazing. Yeah, so if you are in Nairobi and you just want a place to go chill and just look out into the distance, I would recommend Kilimambogo. It's kind of a similar vibe to Ngong Hills, but yeah, on this other side of the city. Masinga Dam. Yeah, this one was pure chaos. Missing bridges, like multiple missing bridges. I went to multiple roads and just dead ends, no bridge. You have to like use a tiny boat to get across, and after hours of just going through muddy roads and getting lost, I made it to Kamaimba, and the view on of like Masinga Dam from Kamaimba is epic. So Masinga Dam has like these two main branches, I'd say. So from the main dam, we have a giant trunk, and then it branches off into two. So at the very center of where the branches like diverge, that is where Kamaimba is, and that place is amazing. Someone should just like put a resort somewhere there or something. On my way back, I got some amazing views of Mavoloni Hill and some of the hills around that area. It was amazing before I headed back home. Lake Bogoria. Yeah, so this trip started off with a stop at Lake Solai. So I branched off from Nakuru and went to Lake Solai. Lake Solai is a very shallow lake, so the water is pretty a little bit dirty, but the views are amazing. So there's a giant escarpment on one side, and then the lake is somewhere on a tiny valley, and then there's a small escarpment on the other side. So you're in this kind of trough, and the views are just amazing. You can't really explain. So after that, I went to the Kapicha viewpoint for what felt like a balcony view of Lake Bogoria. I mean, I was really surprised. I had never seen a picture of this place before. It was just amazing. I just drove into the Kapicha viewpoint and campsite, and that view down to the valley was intense. The scenery was insane. There were hot springs down in the valley and a very dramatic landscape. And you could see all the way to Tugen Hills on the other side. And from there, I continued through the back routes and ended up at Marigat. As I was dropping down towards Marigat, I got an amazing view of Lake Baringo. And then I went down into Marigat, which was amazing. So after Marigat, I went through some of the back routes and up and up the Tugen Hills I went until I found myself at Kimmocho's campsite. So this is one of the best campsites ever. You get like a view down, straight down towards Lake Baringo, and you are at the edge of a cliff. So just a cliff and an amazing view. The campsite is also well maintained, and I was not prepared for the morning. I woke up to a really amazing sunrise with the view of the lake. a golden sunrise, and I was surprised that I could see all the way to Mount Kenya from there. The skies were clear. I could see Mount Kenya and the Aberdare Ranges, which was amazing. Yeah, nature was just showing off that morning. From Kimocho's campsite, I went to Cabernet and drove down into Kerio Valley. The winding roads down into Kerio Valley are spectacular. Seeing down into the valley and the valley rising up on the other side is a really wild view. You really have to be there to like enjoy that, especially in the morning. You can go there in the morning when the sun is behind you and lighting up the other side of the valley. It looks like a sci-fi movie. I drove down the escarpment and along it, and yeah, so we went through Kimorer. There's this river of just amazingly clean water. Crossed that, and then I started my ascent up to Nyaru. That road is winding all the way. Just keep going, winding. The other side of the Kerio Valley escarpment. And with that, you exit through a small town called Nyaru, and that road heads to Eldoret. Lake Olbolosat. So yeah, I went through Kimakia Forest to Jambini, and through some back routes, I made my way to Lake Olbolosat. So Lake Olbolosat is this endangered lake that has been receding over the years. The views there are amazing. It was quite cloudy day and it was gloomy. So I did not get the perfect shots, but the views were still amazing. From there, I went to Nyahururu, where I went down to the Nyahururu Falls. Mwea. Yeah, so on a random day, I woke up and decided I wanted to go somewhere, so I picked Mwea. So I went to Masinga Dam. At that time, the rains were so much, Masinga Dam was actually spilling, and I got this spectacular view of the Masinga Dam spillway. It's wild. From there, I went into Mwea National Reserve. I think I only saw giraffes and some zebra and one elephant. There are a lot of elephants in there, but I only saw one. I just went there at the wrong time of the day. Went all the way to Kamburu Dam at the other edge. After that, I went through the back roads, very muddy roads, almost got stuck and exited at the Mwea irrigation scheme. The views of the rise were spectacular. It was at around sunset. Makueni. This was one of those random trips. I just woke up, dropped up in somewhere, and just went. So I went down the Wote Road. Yeah, I went up Nyiri Hills. I wandered into a very dense forest and got lost a couple of times before I decided to just bail out and use a different route. So this was one of those trips where the journey was the real destination. Ol'totoi Bush Camp is an amazing campsite. I went down to Kajiado County, through Ngong, Saikeri, and I found my way to Ol'totoi. So this is a campsite on a cliff overlooking down to the Rift Valley, and you can see Mount Suswa down there. You can see all the way to the Nguruman Escarpment and Nyiri Hills. This place you get amazing sunsets. I was there on a more gloomy day, but on a clear day you get an amazing golden sunset. From there, I found myself driving around in some sketchy back roads. I went to a place called Najile near Mount Suswa. Then I branched off from there, turned back, and went towards Ol'totoi. The road I was passing through was down on the escarpment, so you can see the hills and the escarpment. You can also see all the way to Mount Olbolosat, which is near Kwenia. We went down to Kajiado, so we were using Magadi Road, and then we branched off and headed towards, I think it's famously called 46. Amazing views of an escarpment on your left, and just endless views on your right down to the Rift Valley. We exited to Kajiado County before we went up to Kipeto Wind Farm. Kipeto Wind Farm is amazing. So it looks like Ngong, the wind farm at Ngong, but you get a more open view of the surrounding areas and down into the valley. Kijabe. This was another random road trip. I was bored in the house and I was like, I need to go somewhere. So I just got out and just drove. I didn't know exactly where I was going, but I ended up at Kijabe. I drove through the Gatamayo forest. Then I crossed a 104 and down into Kijabe. The views as you head into Kijabe town and down to Maimayu are amazing. You can see Mount Longonot on the other side, a towering escarpment on one side. Amazing. So from Maimayu, I just kept going. I found myself following a pipeline. I was just enjoying myself, just having a relaxing drive, and I got to show you guys what that looks like. Elementaita. So I went for a solo camping trip at the shores of Lake Elementaita. I drove through the back routes near some volcanoes in Eburu, down through the back routes, and I exited at Gilgil. Yeah, so that route is like lesser known. Most people just know to drive straight to Elementaita, but if you go through those back roads, you get some amazing views. I camped at the shores of the lake with flamingos, pelicans, and a bunch of insects, but the view of the lake and just the calm waters, just the waves like just breaking was quite soothing. Yeah, from the campsite, we went to the Lake Elementaita hot springs, and then we drove towards the Sleeping Warrior with a spectacular view of the entire crater. The shapes of those hills and craters were just amazing. The views all around, it looks like those sci-fi movies. Yeah, so if you ever get a chance to just visit the Sleeping Warrior, maybe just hike around those hills, Ugali, Sosa, and Sleeping Warrior, just worth it. We were passed along the A104, the Nyahururu Road. I know you've seen the Sleeping Warrior and those hills at Gilgil. It's amazing. Just if you ever get a chance to get up close, just go that way. Chyulu Hills was a trip of a lifetime. Other than just the trip, I had so much fun editing that video. It was amazing. So we drove up Chyulu Hills in the dark of night, set up camp, and woke up to an amazing sunrise over the clouds. So you could see the clouds just down there, all around the hills. Amazing sunrise just above the clouds, and just rolling hills into the distance. It was amazing. If you go back after a rainy season when the grass is green, you can get some amazing view of a grassy field with flowers and butterflies all around. It's worth it. We descended on the other side of Chyulu Hills with an amazing view of the plains that lead up to Mount Kilimanjaro. Amazing. The Nyiri Desert. I joined up with fellow group of adventurers to go find the Nyiri Desert. Yeah, we were following a pin on Google Maps. So Google Maps has a pin that says Nyiri Desert. We drove through a sandy riverbed with like really thick sand where like guys come to harvest sand. From there, we drove through the back routes in Kajiado County, and we ended up at the place where the pin said it's Nyiri Desert. But we only found like grassland kind of thing. Yeah, so we kept looking, we kept going until we found a kind of water pan thingy, and that was kind of Nyiri Desert. We had fun there, drove around like Rallycon drivers. I later learned that the entire region between Nairobi, all the way down to Mount Kilimanjaro, and between Lake Magadi, all the way to Chyulu Hills is the Nyiri Desert. That was a surprise. I did not know that. We camped at Skimana, The next day, we had a chill drive through Amboseli National Park, where we saw a bunch of elephants, wildebeest, zebras, buffalo, flamingos, and a giant hippo. The place was amazing. Kajiado County is so big and it has so much amazing places. So if you ever get a chance to drive around Kajiado County, do it. I also got a chance to go back to Kwenia with the Special Magari crew. It was an amazing weekend to just unwind from the crazy hustle of the city. Yeah, we hiked up the cliffs, shared endless laughs with the crew, um, sat around the campfire, swam in the amazing swimming pool at Kwenia. We also had a tour to the farm where we just saw all the fruits and vegetables being grown in there. It's amazing. So this felt like coming back to an old favorite spot with new stories to tell. Jumbo Charge. I tried something new. I went to the Jumbo Charge 4x4 event. Mud, roaring engines, epic views of the mountain. Jumbo Charge on Mount Elgon was just something else. It was just a new experience. It was amazing. So just watching every team like bringing in their best, just doing whatever they can to maintain their points and come out on top was amazing. And all the challenges they went through was a new lesson for me. I learned some new skills that I could apply while driving around alone. At the end of it, we decided to just drive up as far as we could. We got stuck in mud. We got epic views. We worked together to get unstuck. It was a whole circus, but that entire experience was worth it. Mount Elgon is amazing. Gura River camp. Just camping by the river in a lush jungle is an experience you'll never forget. My tent was just right next to the river, and sleeping with the white noise of the river flowing was so soothing. If you haven't watched that video, just go see the previous video before this one. The place is amazing. I also drove upstream of the Gura River just to see what lies there. I found this amazing place with like meadows and endless green, clean river just flowing between them. It's amazing. It looks like a movie. At Gura River Camp, I spent time just sitting by the water, unwinding, reflecting on all the moments, big and small, that made 2024 special. Honestly, it felt like an epic way to close off such an amazing year. So before we wrap up, let me answer some of the quick questions that you guys have been asking me. Why do I travel alone? Honestly, it's more freeing. Just me and the road. No compromises, no schedules, no nothing. Just hitting the road. I do travel with people sometimes, but I mostly do it on their schedule and not mine. So that is kind of different. As I've always said, most of my trips are unplanned. I don't have a specific time I need to get somewhere or a specific time I need to get back. I just wake up, place to go, wake up and go. Doesn't matter the time of the day. As long as I have a place to sleep and some food, I'll be fine. Do I have a group that guys can join? No. I do not have a group, but I often join other adventurers when our paths align. It's more fun to just go with the flow and see where the road takes me. And I get to discover some new places that I would otherwise miss out on. And that is worth it for me. The thing about groups is it always comes with a lot of schedules, plans, and a ton of compromises. It's not always easy to match everyone's preferences, and sometimes you miss out on spontaneous moments because you are stuck following an itinerary and you can just leave the group and go do your own thing. I might create one in future, but just not right now. That is a wrap to this incredible year. A huge thank you to every single one of you for watching, sharing, and supporting these adventures. It's been an amazing journey. Next year, more miles, more adventures, more amazing spots, and yes, that car review. hit subscribe or scan this QR code and drop a comment letting me know some of the most amazing moments you've had this year. Also, let me know some of the places you would want me to explore in the coming year. Yeah, so if you're watching this on a TV, the QR code is the easiest way to scan with your phone and subscribe. Stay safe, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next adventure.